AU was an ugly, disgusting bum who had 4 super baddies trying to crack him at the same time. They continued to rizz him up, hoping he would one day realize their feelings and start clapping before it was too late. AU woke up one morning and it was freezing cold. He called out for his neighbor, Shio, and she snuck out of the sheets, clinging to him like he was a teddy bear. Instead of letting go, she pulled him closer and his sword started glowing. She tried to kiss him, but he rejected her and told her to get out. Shio got up and asked what he was doing in her house, but he said it was his. She then claimed it was his fault for not fixing the lock on his window. For years, she had leapt from balcony to balcony. Shio got up and left out through the window, revealing her sacred treasure, and told him she would wait for him downstairs. When he opened the door, his personal baddie was already waiting to walk him to school. Shio pulled him closer, and all he could think about was the melon cannons firing off. He couldn't help but think of what she would think of him if she found out what he was contemplating. Suddenly, she purposely tripped and pulled him down onto her plot armor in the process. AU got up and acted completely ignorant to his sword glowing, but he secretly enjoyed what had transpired, while Shio got completely frustrated and grabbed his hand. She said she sprained her ankle and needed help walking, so they held hands the rest of the way to school. While walking, AU affirmed that they were just childhood friends and he was just helping her get to school, but he started panicking, hoping nobody saw them together while Shio locked her fingers and her grip got tighter. Suddenly, their friend Akari spotted them, but when she went to pick up her bag, her hands were twitching with hatred. She accused him of rizzing up Shio behind her back and told him to stay away, then turned around. Shio denied and defended him and said he was just helping her because of her ankle. AU reached for her but accidentally grabbed onto her cannons. Akari turned around and slapped him across the face with her book bag, then stormed off. When AU noticed what Shio had said, he realized he was the only one worked up and that she would never allow him to crack. While walking to school, Akari broke down on her knees, panicking that Shio was a step closer to AU's heart. She wondered why she couldn't stop being so mean to him and wondered if he was comparing the plot size with Shio's. AU promised to take his feelings for them to the grave. Shio vowed to make him her boyfriend no matter what. Akari secretly loved him but hated him at the same time. During class, Akari was disgusted with AU for buying the same drink as her while Shio tried to calm them down. Akari said she would call a truce if AU got on his knees and begged, but he claimed they would be okay if she wasn't such a stuck-up hag. In an instant, Akari felt bad for her nasty attitude toward him, while he regretted not keeping his mouth shut. Moments later, they both opened their soda and the sound of the fizz alerted AU. He realized their drinks had gotten switched when they had put it down and called out to her, but he was too late and she already had a taste. The moment Akari heard him, she realized she just had an indirect kiss with the awkward loser. AU said not to worry and it wasn't a big deal, but Akari accused him of raising his Excalibur for battle and demanded to know if he had ever had a kiss. AU was speechless, implying she was correct, but he wasn't backing down. He lied and claimed he had been complimented by many fine shits, but Akari didn't believe him. When the entire class heard every word, she took it a step further and requested he prove it to her and give her a kiss. They went out into the hallway and got ready for a taste testing. Akari continued to provoke him until he finally admitted to having never kissed anyone. When she heard that, she leaned in, ready to give him a kiss, but suddenly Shio caught them in the act. When Shio reached in, AU realized they were in some type of messy love triangle, but she picked a piece of lint off of his face. Out of nervousness, Akari stepped backward, slipped on a broom, and fell over, revealing her sacred panties. AU immediately roasted her for having small assets, but Akari came over and punched him in the gut. Shio knew they were up to no good and planned to keep an eye on Akari. All of the losers in class started bugging AU and asked how the school baddies were always glazing his glizzy. Moments later, Shio came in and pressed her plots up against him. Then his sword started shining again. She requested to borrow his homework because she was an incompetent fool that hadn't done hers. AU asked that she not rizz him up in front of the boys, but instead of listening, she sat down and proceeded to sharpen his blade. Everyone looked over as he exploded from nervousness. The boys in class started making allegations about him being on a list, but Shio assured them he was a good boy. She continued to bounce around until Akari walked in, devastated at the sight of Shio sharpening an S-rank Excalibur. Akari tried to steal her away, but Shio declared that they both were not ready to stop. She demanded that Shio move over and proceed to sharpen the Excalibur into a double-edged sword. While they both had a sword sharpening contest, IU's Excalibur leveled up to S rank. On a crowded bus, a random baddie bumped into AU, and when he turned around, it was his best friend Shio. AU told her he was going to the local bakery to try out their new coconut cream pies, and Shio said she was going to get one too. Suddenly, the bus hit a speed bump and pushed them together, but instead of pushing off, she held him tightly. AU started getting nervous because there were large melon cannons pushed up against him. Shio noticed and leaned in, asking him if anything was wrong, then began caressing his ears, causing him to panic. She brought up his motion sickness, but he claimed he was alright. While looking at Shio's adorable face, he couldn't resist anymore and embraced her, then apologized and claimed he was feeling sluggish. AU noticed his sword glowing, so so he pushed her away, but she started tearing up, causing him to get off the bus. Minutes later, he told her he noticed and to let him know how she really felt. The moment Shio heard those words, her heart skipped a beat. AU walked off and purchased a tasty beverage, then handed it to her. He mentioned he noticed her tearing up from her own motion sickness. Shio couldn't help but sigh at how dense he was. When they sat down, Shio leaned against him and promised to win his heart no matter what, while AU started trembling as his sword fighting skills went up to D rank from the gentle flower petals. After school, it was still raining, so AU took a shortcut home. While walking, he encountered a broke baddie down bad on her luck, soaking wet from the rain. When she saw him, she suddenly slipped and fell from embarrassment. Akari pushed him away in an angry rage, but then sat there and regretted treating him so poorly. AU turned around and returned with his umbrella to shield her from the rain. They walked home together, while Shio was right in front of them, running straight for the bakery for the new banana cream pies. While walking, AU realized how much Akari had grown and realized his D-rank sword skills wasn't strong enough to protect her. She used to be the sweetest to him, but now she hated him. Akari thought in her head on how to properly Rizz a super gamer nerd like him, but couldn't think of what to do. She wondered why he was being so nice since they always argued, and she couldn't forgive him for seeing her assets the other day. Akari pulled him closer because she saw his shoulder getting wet. She then passed him a dirty rag to dry it off, but his Rizz signal went off and started shining the melon cannons. She pushed him off and pointed at his shoulder. She then reached for the umbrella but accidentally touched his hand instead, causing the heavenly floodgates to open up.
Yeah, boy.
They both freaked out, but she continued to Rizz him up, but suddenly, Truck-kun spun the block and tried to Izukai them but failed and splashed them with a puddle instead. AU wrapped his arms around her and shielded her from harm. When they separated, AU was hoping they could become friends again, but Akari noticed the melon cannons were visible and accused him of foul play, then proceeded to slap him. Shio made it home with a bag of snacks and wanted to share it with her friends. She went out on her balcony and noticed AU wasn't home, so she went over to Akari's. Shio opened her window, but Akari had her AirPods in. Akari asked herself why she could never be open about her feelings for him while holding her phone with a photo of a nerdy Giga Chad. She admitted that she wanted them to get along again like when they were kids, but suddenly she felt a breeze and turned around to a sneaky spy. Akari screamed, afraid that Shio heard every word. Shio apologized and offered to have a snack party. While eating, Akari declared that the picture earlier meant nothing and that he was a disgusting loser who always bothered them. Shio couldn't believe the look in her eyes. She asked if she was sure she didn't enjoy it, but she snapped and went as far as to say she hated him. But Shio was confused. She asked, didn't she just say she wanted to get along with him while laying in bed? Akari played it off and said only if she wanted to as well. Shio then stated if only AU was nicer, but Akari said if he was any nicer, she would kill him. Shio then said she kept contradicting herself. Akari tried to change the subject, but when she noticed her search history was revealed, she threw the phone at Shio's face. She got up to get her a towel, but when she opened the closet, a photo album containing hundreds of photos of AU. Shio asked what was going on, but Akari quickly denied the allegations, then claimed he photobombed every photo. Shio said you usually don't print those and began to suspect her of high treason. When she realized it, she asked her what were her true feelings about AU. Akari's heart started pounding and she immediately declared he was an annoying bum who never noticed the effort she put into being pretty. Suddenly, Shio agreed to everything she said, then proceeded to say he treated them like children. As they slandered his name, he approached the door and realized they hated him. Suddenly, he heard screaming and barged through the door only to discover weapons of mass distractions in plain sight. Akari got furious and proceeded to beat him up. After beating the crap out of him, Shio realized that she may have truly hated him. When Shio and Akari ran into him on the street looking like a straight criminal, he attempted to hide his Romcom manga under his shirt, but they got suspicious and tried to pull it out. AU realized the situation was exactly the same as the climax of chapter 28 when the disgusting nerd gets bombarded by his two childhood friends. They tugged on him until he finally dropped it and they caught a glimpse at the title. Akari suddenly accused him of fantasizing about his childhood friends, which petrified him. While thinking about the day before, Shio snuck up from behind, pushing the weapons of mass distractions onto his back. She latched onto him, requesting to walk to school together, but he pulled away and responded coldly, then told her not to flirt with him in public. Shio continued to tease him, but he kept walking. At lunch, Shio asked to eat together, but he was already done. During class, she asked to copy his homework, but he told her to ask someone else. Shio sat there, depressed and sad, wondering what was going on with her Rizz game. Akari came over and asked what was wrong, claiming if she couldn't help, she would at least listen, which was all she was good for. Shio outright told her it was about AU acting cold toward her all day. She was wondering if she had done something to make him angry. Akari immediately accused him of being a bum who reads childhood friend rom-coms, then walked off as she laughed at the both of them. Shio realized it was Ayu's turn to clean the gym storage room after school and decided to wait for him and reenact a scene from one of his favorite rom-com, hoping to rizz him up, but she was unaware that the gym teacher told him not to clean up because he was a dirty bum. She waited for hours and ended up falling asleep. When she woke up, she checked her phone, but it was dead. She tried to leave, but someone locked her in. Shio sat down and wondered why Ayu hadn't shown up. She started reflecting about the day and questioned whether or not he would still be around for her. Just as she was beginning to lose hope, Ayu opened the door and called her out for waiting here, attempting to surprise him. Shio asked, how did he figure it out? And he said they had been friends since they were little, causing her floodgates to burst open. She was relieved and told him she thought he was angry because he wasn't letting her crack all day. But truthfully, he was just embarrassed about them discovering his childhood friend Romcom mangas. Shio suddenly jumped on him, but he ended up falling on top. Ayu tried to get up, but Shio pulled him closer and asked to wait a moment, causing his rocket launcher to misfire. Meanwhile, Akari is having a heart attack waiting for Ayu's response. Shio tried to give him a kiss, but Ayu knew she was reenacting the scene from the rom-com and shoved her off. He picked up his phone and told her everyone was worried. As he looked at her adorable face, he thought about how they had been friends since they were little and came to the realization that he could never see her as a woman. He left Akari a message and told Shio they could hang out there for a while. Ayu asked what was wrong and she told him she just wanted to be with him a little longer. Shio asked if it was okay to embrace on him since they were alone and he said, okay. She held his hand and leaned in, causing his adventuring staff to charge up. Ayu started getting his hopes up and wondered if they were starting a rom-com together. Shio asked if it was alright if they could spend more time together. When he came to rescue her, she wanted to get her back blown out immediately. Ayu asked himself if she was serious, then suddenly, the lights turned on. They looked over and Akari was at the entrance. Akari hugged Shio and immediately accused Ayu of not texting her back, but he did. She was just a dumb bitch. When she realized he texted her 20 minutes ago, she demanded to know if Shio had let him crack in that time. Shio said she was trapped in the storage room and just needed time to relax. When Ayu heard that, it shattered his dignity. When he got home, he couldn't help but think if Shio was really serious about her feelings. The next morning, he peeped out his front door like a complete loser with no Rizz game at all, and what he saw charged up his adventuring staff. Shio was already outside waiting for him looking like a straight baddie. While they walked to school together, Ayu was visibly flustered at beautiful Shio looked. He asked about what had happened the night before and she paused. Shio ran off and said she had something important to do. When Ayu saw the look on her face, he realized that the possibility that he would finally be able to crack his best friend and started having the craziest imaginations. Suddenly, Akarin said gross behind him. She immediately accused him of imagining Shio as the main character in one of his mangas, but he denied it. Ayu asked what was her deal with him, and she swung her bag at him, claiming she didn't want anything to do with him. The moment she walked away, Ayu came to the realization that Akari was a tsundere the entire time. He then started fantasizing about going on wild adventures.
Yeah, boy.
At school, Shio got frustrated wondering how Ayu could be so dense and how was he unaware of her feelings. Akari caught her sulking and asked what was wrong. She asked if it was Ayu, and when Shio didn't say anything, she realized there was something going on. She asked if they were dating, unaware that Ayu was in the bathroom next door. He ran out, hoping to stop them from fighting over him, but when he got to the door, Shio denied all allegations and pulled up the rom-com he liked so much. Shio declared she was using it to tease him and she would never let an ugly, disgusting bum like him ever crack, which broke his heart. Ayu ran away crying his hearts out while Akarin was wondering why she felt relieved. Shio regretted every word as she was just denying the allegations to Akarin. Akarin sat in the bath, frustrated with him, and when she got out to get dressed, Ayu accidentally opened the door. He tried to close the door, but she beat him into a family gathering. Ayu's parents apologized and told her their shower wasn't working because their house was built by peasants. Akari saw the two of them getting along so well and walked out. Ayu noticed and followed her out, hoping to rizz up her while she was alone. She told him to leave her alone, but when he did, it would usually make her angrier. He told her she used to ask him to crack all the time. Now she was ice cold. Akari turned around and grabbed onto his shirt, then asked if he remembered the promise they made with each other. When they were little, Akari's cat died and he promised her to never leave her side, like her worthless cat. Ayu repeated the promise and she realized he did remember. Akari got up and turned around and asked when would he finally take her as his wife, causing the little guy to get overly excited. But suddenly, a drunk Shio snuck up from behind and ruined the moment. The very next day, Ayu overheard a little girl at the park repeat the same words Akari said to him to another boy. He thought that marrying a childhood friend is a classic rom-com theme and started thinking about Shio and Akari's words. The events of the past few days raced through his mind and his intrusive thoughts won the battle, causing him to get up and scream. Suddenly, a girl with purple hair approached him. Ayu got up and walked away, but she followed him around the park like a lost dog. The girl took a closer look at his disgusting face and recognized it was big brother Au. He realized it was Runa, a girl he used to play with when he was young. Au took her home to crack, but instead his parents were there to ruin the fun. Runa ran up to his mother and hugged her. His mother couldn't believe it had been 5 years since they saw each other. She informed him that Runa would be transferring to his high school, and when he asked if they would be neighbors again, his mother said she would be staying with them for the meantime. Before she moved away 5 years ago, Runa would always follow them around and play together. Au helped her clean out her room so he could blow her back out later on. When Runa declared she was so happy to be living together, Au got flustered and turned around so his Excalibur didn't stab her. She picked up one of her boxes and fell forward, but Au's Rizz game was too quick and he romantically caught her. When he set her down, the floodgates bursted open from his undefeated Rizz game. After they finished organizing her belongings, she openly confessed and said she really liked him. But as oblivious as ever, he said that was really nice. Runa tried to elaborate on what she meant, but suddenly, Shio and Akari stepped in. When Runa noticed the difference in the size of the melon cannons, she said one was stacked chips and the other was stylish. While Shio, Akari, and Runa caught up with each other, Au went to take a bath and do other things. Runa then openly admitted her feelings for Au and wanted to try mischievous activities with him to the dynamic duo, which caught them off guard. After her shower, Runa approached his room and asked to come in, but Shio and Akari were suddenly summoned. Au was visibly frustrated as he wanted some privacy, but the jealous duo demanded they hung out as a group since Runa was back in town. They both realized they got there just in time because she went straight for his room after the shower for some clapping. They were both too paranoid to leave her alone with him. Suddenly, Runa jumped on and asked if Au could help blow dry her hair. She claimed she hadn't seen him in so long and just wanted some affection. Au reluctantly said, "Okay," and when he did, the baddies ran over and pulled her away. Akari claimed her hair was too pretty to let a disgusting creature like him tend to it. After they did her hair, Runa tried to get closer, but they pulled her away again. Au noticed someone tickling his foot under the table. He looked over at Runa and she had a diabolical smile on. Au reached for her foot, but she squealed, causing Akari and Shio to look under. Akari immediately accused him of being obsessed with feet, but Shio knew Runa was playing footsies with him and was impressed by her Rizz game. Shio realized that Runa had no issues making these attempts on his life right in front of them. Next, Runa leaned in and asked if he could help her study for her entrance exams, causing Shio to jump in, Akari to jump in too, claiming he was a dumb idiot with the worst grades. They started cramming against each other and suddenly, Runa hopped on Au's lap, declaring now there was room for all three of them. They told her to get off of him, but she said it was fine. After all, she loved him the most. Runa leaned in for a kiss, causing Au to fall backwards, but she fell asleep instead. After Au picked her up, the girls realized what the conniving thief had said. Au slammed his head against the wall, questioning his sanity if he was really in a rom-com with his childhood friends. Akari couldn't believe how easy it was for her to confess her love, while Shio immediately started making plans on how to stop them, and Reneko slept calmly, dreaming about the cheeky boy. The next morning, Runa woke him up instead of Shio. Au came downstairs to a 5-star meal, all cooked by Runa, something some of you pathetic losers won't experience. She asked him if she would make a good wife, causing him to awkwardly respond with a yes. As she cheered on, Au considered if this was the start of a roommate rom-com. While brushing his teeth, he was in complete denial of Runa's feelings and was hard on himself for allowing his Excalibur to rise from the ashes. Suddenly, Runa snuck up from behind and requested to go on a date, which shocked him. Then he agreed, claiming they were just childhood friends in his head. Runa took him to the river, where they used to play together as kids. Au overheard some shady bums talking about clapping. She asked if he wanted to get in with her, but he said no. She grabbed onto him and asked again, which almost made him want to crack, but he told her to just have a seat. Au asked her not to be so clingy, and she told him he was the only one that could clap. He thought that even though she was unpredictable and clumsy, he would definitely still clap. Suddenly, Shio and Akari came running. Then Akari accused him of being on a list and asked Runa to leave his bum ass. They started splashing each other in the river, getting soaked from head to toe, while Au contemplated what Runa meant when she said she loved him. Akari followed Au into a bakery while he was purchasing a banana cream pie for one of them. He noticed a roach in the corner of his eye and confronted her for following him. Akari immediately denied the accusations and claimed she was there to purchase a banana cream pie herself. Then Au stopped her and asked if she really wanted the flaming hot fire pastry. Akari realized that if she placed it back on the shelf, it would prove she was tailing him. She stuck with her gut and said she was taking it, but Au warned her that if she took that specific flavored pie, she would surely die. Everyone that has ever tried it claimed their backside started swelling the next morning. He then claimed she was always too stubborn to listen to anyone, which struck a nerve, and before he could finish, Akari had already purchased it. When they got to class, Akari opened it and started taste testing it while Ayu watched in horror. She screamed at him to shut up as she took the first bite, and before she knew it, she started squirming and screaming. Akari realized she was stubborn and couldn't ever admit her feelings. Ayu tried to go get water, but she grabbed his hand and gripped tighter and tighter as she ate the entire thing. She realized they were holding hands and pulled away. Suddenly, she collapsed and went to the hospital for a blown-out back. A few days later, the girls cheered as they aced their final exams while Ayu escaped their diabolical clutches. When he got home, Runa announced she got perfect scores on all of her tests. He complimented her and rushed to his room. Ayu started panicking, worried that the girls had aced their exams and claimed he would rather be dead than be dumber than those bimbos. Shio and Akari came over and Runa informed them that the ugly, disgusting bum had locked himself in his room for 3 days studying. They knocked on his window and showed up with 3 puppets. When Ayu opened the window, they started bugging him and begging him to crack. Akari asked if his grades were really that bad, and they got into another heated argument, but Shio pulled them aside and whispered a diabolical scheme into their ears. They then taunted him and called him a pathetic, inexperienced bum, then left. Hours later, they came back ready to have the best Rizz day of their lives. Ayu tried to resist the glistening glossiness that was before his very eyes but couldn't and gave in.
Yeah, boy.
While the girls picked out vacation spots, Akari asked just how pitiful his grades were. Ayu pulled out his test scores and scored higher than both of them. They were astonished that he was a Giga Chad and had good grades. Ayu asked what they had received, and Shio said she only failed 1 class while Akari was reluctant to answer. He then claimed they should be the ones studying over summer break and not trying to rizz him up. Later that night, Ayu fell asleep in the tub, dreaming about his 3 personal baddies, when suddenly he heard someone coming in. He hid under the bath cover and 3 super baddies walked in. As they showered, Renako complimented Shio and then looked at Akari's and called hers adorable. Ayu looked over and a sacred treasure was in sight, ready to be stolen.
Yeah, boy.
But he quickly turned away. Runa suggested allowing Ayu in if he were a girl, and the girls laughed as Shio leaned against the tub, causing it to slide open. After he closed it back up, Runa started opening it up and got right in as he hoped his face was present. Shio tried to get in next, but suddenly, Runa asked if Ayu saw them as friends or possibly wanted something more. She told them they had been around each other their whole lives and they were really fine shits. Akari and Shio both denied it and claimed to have friend-zoned the poor guy, but Runa was different. She openly admitted she would be happy if Ayu confessed any feelings for her. Shio admitted she would be happy as well and would proudly let him in the door. Akari then felt compelled to as well, but held back at the end. After the conversation, they all walked out. As Ayu dried off, he finally realized what they were saying. Then Runa came back in and asked why he was still there. Ayu realized she said still and that she knew he was there the whole time. He asked when she found out, but she wouldn't tell. As she walked out, she declared there would be consequences in the future for what had transpired. After she left, Ayu was in disbelief that this was the year he finally got to lose it and crack all of them. When summer break started, Akari and Runa were both busy, so Shio and Ayu went to the library. While they were studying, Ayu couldn't help but notice the weapons of mass distractions and couldn't concentrate. He thought about the conversation they had while wet and told himself not to get attached since they were always openly denying his feelings before. Shio noticed him looking at the melon cannons and poked him in the shoulder. Ayu wouldn't turn back around, so she flexed her muscles on him. Once they were done, Shio leaned in and asked if he could check her work, then whispered in his ear to do it quietly since they were in a library. Ayu thought about making a move, but when he reached for her hand, she pulled away. Shio asked if they would still be friends if they got married to other people. Would things stay the same between them? Ayu said yes because that's what happens with baddies. Suddenly, she asked if it would still stay the same if she asked him out one day and his Excalibur started to grow. But then she asked for ice cream and his legendary sword broke in half. During their summer break, the girls finally made it to the beach while their bum friend carried all of their bags. Shio was going to practice her butterfly strokes while Runa practiced her breaststrokes. Ayu digging for clams like a bum while the girls had fun. He was acting like a grumpy old man, and as usual, Akari was too stubborn and suggested having fun without him. But when she looked over, Shio and Runa were pulling on his legendary sword, arguing over who would slay the water serpent first. Ayu shoved them all off and screamed. The man couldn't believe what these baddies were doing to him. He couldn't even set his eyes on the vile creatures. Shio didn't know clam digging was so intense, and suddenly she announced she hadn't put on sunscreen and asked Ayu to help her out. Runa began helping him with his backache and teased him about his consequences, then said, "Just kidding." Shio suggested helping him out too, and Akari immediately felt like she was falling behind. The melon cannons were firing off as they danced around. AU wasn't going to fold. He squeezed his face into a ball with all of his years of training. Then Akari stepped up and asked if he would like to play volleyball with her, but he turned around, utterly disgusted with them all. She snapped, then admitted she was very excited to have a beach day with him and shoved him into the all blue. As he drowned, AU thought to himself that they were all so adorable, and they pulled him out, all concerned for him, causing his nose to bleed like when Jiraiya saw Naruto for the first time. They spent the rest of the day shooting their melon cannons off and having fun together, teasing him. At the end of the day, they made AU carry all of the bags. Akari nagged him to hurry up, and as they argued, Shio and Runa fell asleep and the last bus of the day took off without them. Akari looked at her phone and realized she had no signal. AU made a comment about how coming to the beach was so much trouble. Then Akari turned around, emanating a dark aura, and asked if he was suggesting it was her fault because she was a woman. As they walked along the bus route, Akari realized she was alone with him and wondered if she could be like Shio and Runa and be more assertive. Suddenly, a black cat jumped out, causing her to scream and grab onto AU, but she immediately pushed him off in disgust. AU suggested putting his thumb up and asking for a ride like a disgusting bum, but Akari was against it, claiming they might get murdered. He then suggested leaving to get help, but Akari was against that as well, claiming she might get kidnapped by a ghost. AU called her a wuss, and when a crow barked, she freaked out. They continued on as she thought about the times he would comfort her when they were kids. Akari looked at his hand and contemplated grabbing it, but when she reached, he sneezed, causing her to fall backward. AU asked if she was alright, but she was trembling. She tried to stand up and fell backward again, but he caught her. AU picked her up on his back and started walking. Akari told him to stop, but he told her to stop being stubborn. She reminisced on the time he told her she didn't need him to walk her home anymore and that he was the one that changed. Akari snapped and demanded he put her down, claiming she was just a nuisance to him. He's been so tense and wouldn't even look at her anymore. AU said he was tense because he was focused on protecting her the whole night. Then she remembered when he told her he would always protect her. Akari then came to the realization that he had never changed after all. Then suddenly, their phones got signal and they received a call from the others. His mother told them to stay put and that she booked a room at a nearby hotel. When they arrived, they came to a shared room. AU offered to go to the front desk to request a change, but she declined and said she would rather be with him. Akari thanked him for the day and went to take a bath. While bathing, AU wondered why she reacted the way she did, as she normally would be disgusted. He started contemplating whether or not she had some type of diabolical scheme. He looked over and she was already ready, waiting for him. They had a beautiful dinner prepared for them, but Akari looked completely down. He tried to make her happy but felt like he was tap dancing on a minefield. AU offered to pour her some tea, but he picked up the pot like a maniac and spilled it all over him and her bag. Akari got up and romantically pushed him down, then offered to clean it up and asked him to cool down his finger. By the end of the night, Akari turned off the lights and got in. She asked him not to be so mean and cold, then demanded he turn around and rizz her like he used to. When he turned around, she smiled when she noticed his Excalibur glowing, then said she loved him. When AU woke up the next morning, she said he was a disgusting bum and it never should have happened, then got on the bus without him. Akari sat outside AU's window with a bat, urging herself to erase the despicable memory of the night before. She peeped into the window and noticed AU and Runa talking. AU started talking about his situation with Akari but told her it was one of his friend's experiences. He elaborated that by the end of the night, the girl his friend got stranded with started acting like a deranged lunatic. Akari immediately knew he was talking about them. His friend tried to get some sleep and the girl got in next to him because she was frightened. Then he hugged her so she could go to sleep, and that's when she said she loved him. But the very next morning, she was really cold toward him and abandoned him there. Runa broke it to him that his loser friend with no Rizz had no chance with the girl. He must have done something to incur her wrath, or he could have completely misheard what she said the night before. In her opinion, the girl wanted him to let her go and move on. AU then agreed with Runa and started describing his relationship with Akari. His friend thought she hated him because she was nice to others, but always gave him dirty looks and openly insulted him in public. When Runa heard that she only acts cold to him, she suggested she was basically a tsundere, a total bitch. Akari started thinking about all of the times she was cold toward him. Runa declared if he ever tried to rizz her up, she would give the green light for backcracking instantaneously. AU said that his friend was against it, which caused Akari's heart to drop. She started slipping, then screamed. When they looked outside, it was a redhead baddie caught red-handed. AU realized she had been listening the whole time, and when Runa said her panties were showing, Akari fell backwards off the roof. AU jumped out and grabbed her hand just in time to rizz her for dinner. He pulled her back up while Runa cheered for them. Akari got up and said he exhausted her and walked through his house to get home. As she walked out, Runa realized his story was about him and Akari. AU asked what that was about, and Runa glared at him, then told him to figure it out himself. Akari came across an advertisement for the Inari fireworks display, marketing that if you shared a kiss under the fireworks, the special one would allow you to crack for a whole year straight. Akari thought about it and thought it was ludicrous, but as she walked away, she was enchanted by the lipstick advertisement and then considered the idea of it actually happening. Suddenly, Shio and Runa called out to her. They asked what she was doing, and the Inari fireworks advertisement started speaking out of turn. When Runa heard it, she got excited. Akari said it was a stupid superstition, but Runa disagreed and would definitely ask AU to go with her. When the other two heard, they immediately got jealous. They both picked out a hairpin, but Akari said she could buy it instead. Shio put it next to her hair and said it looked great on her too and suggested they both get one. Moments later, Akari brought up going to see the fireworks together like when they were kids. Shio sighed, then declared she wanted to go alone with AU and planned to ask him if he would want to go as well. That shocked Akari, but she said she would have her full support. Shio asked if she was really okay with it and wanted things to be honest between them. She had never ignored her feelings, but she had to be honest with her. Shio then asked if a night alone with him was what she wanted as well. Suddenly, all her memories with AU came flooding in and she admitted it. She did want a night alone with him. When Shio heard her, she was relieved they both were able to share the truth with each other, held out her hand, and declared, "May the best baddie win." On the night of the summer festival, their love for AU would be decided. But Shio never even asked him about the night in question. She had many chances but was never able to and kept procrastinating every chance she had. Suddenly, Akari tried to ask him about the fireworks but immediately ended up insulting his drip, calling him a non-stylish bum. As she walked away, she immediately regretted it, but Shio ran over and hugged her, telling her it was harder than she thought. They both started giggling, then realized they were wasting precious time and needed to ask him out right away. As they approached him, Shio urged Akari to go first, but she couldn't. AU appeared out of nowhere and demanded the two of them have some fun, unaware they were both ready to let him crack. AU started stress eating, then began choking. The girls came over and started roasting him, but suddenly they heard an announcement stating the fireworks would start in an hour. Shio approached him and started asking, but before she finished, he got her a pork skewer. Akari went next and started proposing the question, but the moment she hesitated, he assumed they wanted him to get lost, so he proceeded to walk away. They both grabbed a hold of him and declared they both wanted to watch the fireworks with him alone. Then they gave him an ultimatum and demanded he choose one of them. Akari told him to meet at the shrine grounds at the south entrance, and Shio told him to meet at the Torii gate at 8 p.m. Then they ran away. He always thought that they had friend-zoned him, but truthfully, they had been hiding feelings all along. AU couldn't believe it and thought it was some kind of sick joke. As he walked off thinking about their diabolical plans, he spotted Akari hiding in the corner. When he approached her, he heard her whispering about a romantic kiss under the fireworks and saw her practicing kissing a creepy mask in preparation. Akari heard a twig snap and turned around. She screamed her heart out when she saw it was AU. She started throwing rocks at him, trying to stone him. AU saw the creepy mask and found out she was kissing the creepy mask and wondered why she was doing that. Then suddenly, they overheard some old hags talking about the 8 o'clock fireworks legend, causing Akari to run away in shock. Everyone started looking at him like some sort of guy on a list while he thought he was finally starting a rom-com. Suddenly, a wannabe Giga Chad grabbed a hold of his hand and thought he was a man on a list. Then he was surrounded and jumped. Akari tried to get them to stop, but they proceeded to beat him up. After they discovered he wasn't on a Gucci flip-flops release list, they let them go. It was about to be 8 o'clock, and Akari demanded to know who he was going to choose. Akari told him if he decided to choose her, she would open up about all of the secrets she had been hiding from him. All of a sudden, his phone started ringing and it was Shio. When he answered, she told him she couldn't make it and to have fun with Akari. About 38 minutes prior, when Shio ran away after telling him the rendezvous point, she felt like her heart was going to explode from the anxiety alone. She found a little girl lost and offered to help find her parents. By the time Shio finished, an old hag had her back blown out and she offered to carry her. Next, a pregnant woman announced her baby was coming, so Shio accompanied her to the hospital. By the time she finished, there were 7 minutes left until 8 p.m. She attempted to run back, but her slippers tore. Then she realized she wasn't going to make it and decided to call AU. Shio sat at the hospital while the fireworks went off and a random bum approached her. He was a pregnant woman's husband and he thanked her for helping his wife. He asked if she was okay and if she had plans with someone, and suddenly thoughts of Ayu and Akari came flooding in. Shio started running back to the festival barefoot, trying to get back to the one man she wants to crack. While running, she thought of all the moments she's had with Ayu, but the last firework of the night went off, stopping her in her tracks. Shio started crying and said all she wanted was to watch the fireworks together with him, and suddenly Ayu arrived and overheard everything. She asked what happened to Akari, but Akari snuck up behind her and called her a dummy. They both said they couldn't even think of the fireworks, knowing she had gotten into some type of trouble, then demanded to know where her shoes were and why she had scrape marks. Shio apologized for making them miss the fireworks, but both Akari and AU purchased some of their own. They went to a park and lit them up. Shio asked how they knew where to find her, and Akari told her when they hung up the phone and began searching. The old hag that needed a ride told them she had gone to the hospital with some random pregnant woman. They stood up and watched the fireworks by themselves, but it was pretty pathetic. But then Shio thanked them both for a great night. Shio then apologized to Akari for what had happened, but Akari told her to stop. They wanted to be honest with each other, so Shio tiptoeing around her feelings was unfair. Akari declared she would win him over and crack him fair and square. Suddenly, they heard AU snoring and decided to mess with him. Akari kissed him on the cheek, then Shio did next, and they started giggling. Then AU woke up and they ran away like he was on some type of list. 3 days after the festival, all AU could think of was the 2 baddies he almost pulled. During his lunch date with Runa, a girl on a bike called out his name. When he turned around, he caught a glimpse of her panties and quickly turned away. She told him to relax because she was wearing shorts, then rode off on her bike, leaving AU wondering how she knew his name. On their first day back to school, Akari suggested leaving the bum behind, but Shio insisted on waiting for him. While walking, the girl from before suddenly rode up behind them. She called him a Chad for walking to school with 2 baddies, then pulled him closer and asked where the purple hair baddie from the other day was. Akari demanded to know who this skank was, and Shio asked who she was talking about. When he told them it was Runa, the girl asked how had Runa been, and when she took a closer look at Shio and Akari, she recognized them and gave them a hug. She then suddenly rode off again. At school, the disgusting losers in class demanded to know if the rumors about him dating 3 girls at once were true, but he denied it. Akari overheard and was furious. The 3 musketeers gathered together and Shio informed them that it was Haru Hinata. After she had seen them that morning, she started spreading rumors about them. AU went to look for her and arrived at the locker room. He opened the door and caught her in the middle of preparing for major clappage. He took a step forward and tripped over and fell on her. He started stuttering his words like some type of wuss, and Haru laughed at him and said he didn't have to be so formal. AU was confused, then she pulled him closer and asked if he remembered her. Shio and Akari waited outside, wondering why he was taking so long. They noticed he was uncomfortable around girls but completely fine around them and got furious. They snuck up on the room hoping to eavesdrop, then caught him on top of her. She asked if he wanted to touch the melon cannons, but Shio and Akari barged in. They immediately accused him of wrongdoing, but AU informed them she was Haru from their elementary school. They all thought she was a boy and were shocked to find out she was a certified baddie as well. Haru said she always thought AU was a perv asking to shower together when they were little. She also said hi to Shio and Akari the first year of high school, but they ignored her. AU inched away, but Haru leaned in and tried to rizz him up, but she was just teasing him. Shio then confronted her about the rumors and she said she would tell everyone it was lies. Then she asked the big question, were the 3 of them cracking Runa at the same time? She then brought up him always rizzing up Shio and Akari. They both denied having any feelings for him and Haru said what a relief. After Shio and Akari left, Haru asked if AU wanted to stop by a park after school and grabbed him, demanding to go without Shio and Akari. After school, Haru surprised AU from behind, then demanded to have a one-on-one in basketball. AU was mesmerized by the melon cannons. Haru dribbled the ball around him and shot a Steph Curry. She continued to score on him while he was busy asking her what happened to her when they were kids. At the end, he fell over on her while she scored the last shot. Haru declared herself the winner, then AU jumped off. Afterwards, she boldly asked him about the fireworks festival and said there were rumors about him attending with both Shio and Akari and they both asked him out. Haru then demanded which girl he was going to choose. He declared he was friend-zoned. Then she brought up his date with Runa and asked if he really wanted to start clapping. He could have, but he continued to deny the allegations. Haru then brought up the time they got caught painting graffiti and he told the old geezer that they were cleaning the wall. She stated he had the same look on his face now as back then when he lied. Haru demanded him to box her. If he won, she would never bring it up again. If she won, he would have to spill the secrets. AU felt compelled to tell her the truth and said he really did wanted to crack all 3 of them at the same time for a year straight. Haru got excited and poked him in the face. She then declared she would go and ask the others about their feelings for him. While having a snack party, he had a menacing feeling while looking at Haru. Then she asked the big question. AU covered her mouth and snatched her out of the room. He demanded that she stay out of his rizness. They went back in and nervously started talking about the games they played as kids. But suddenly, Haru brought up the time they had shared a kiss, causing Shio and Akari's dignity to shatter. While the two of them began making excuses, Shio and Akari gave them both a murderous stare. Suddenly, Runa walked in and Haru jumped on her. When Runa realized who she was, she ran toward Akari and claimed Haru had traumatized her before. When she was playing with a stuffed frog, Haru walked up to her and presented a backpack full of frogs. Runa got up and ran, but the frogs jumped out and rained all over her. Haru tried to apologize, but Runa pushed her away. She started chasing her around but stepped over the table and flew toward Au, and accidentally locked lips and kissed, causing Au's soul to float out of his body and the girls to flare up in a jealous rage. Runa thought Haru was lucky. Shio didn't even want to imagine another girl in competition, and Akari was speechless. While Au thought about cracking all four but kept denying himself, and Haru quite enjoyed everything. The next morning, everywhere Shio looked, she saw the word kiss and she couldn't stop thinking about them. Then suddenly she tripped while jogging. Haru saw the whole thing and walked over to check on her, then realized it was Shio. Shio asked to join her on her jog. As they ran, Haru noticed she was in better shape than that irregular bum Au. Then Shio outright asked if she had feelings for Au. Then she pointed out she seemed happy about the kiss. Haru didn't like that and asked if she really liked him. That's why she was asking. Then Shio ran away. Haru caught up and mentioned they were always jealous Au wanted to play with her as kids, then demanded to know if she was really jealous of her. Shio declared she was the first to take a bath, hold hands, and share spoons with, so she wasn't jealous at all. That struck a nerve in Haru and they continued until they were both laying on the beach. They both agreed that they were just childhood friends, but when Shio left, Haru admitted it. Au caught Shio coming home and caught her as she collapsed from exhaustion. Suddenly, she romantically kissed him with her sweaty lips, then ran home. While watching TV with Runa, he kept seeing the word kiss as well. He kept dropping his eggs and realized he may be starting a rom-com. 2 days later, Au was hesitating on entering the classroom, but Shio came from behind and slapped him in the back of the head. She then grabbed his hand and pulled him into class while the jealous bums surrounded him. After school, Haru caught Runa walking home and tried to chase her down when all of a sudden, they noticed a dirty bum sleeping in the park and realized it was Au. They snuck up behind him and saw that he was reading about kissing, but they were still unaware about Shio's kiss. Runa asked if he secretly had a crush on Haru, but he denied the allegations. When they realized it wasn't about Haru, they demanded to know who he had kissed. Haru guessed it was Akari, but then he denied it and accidentally yelled it was Shio, which surprised all three of them. Runa then suggested if he had feelings for her, he should confess to her properly so he could crack all night. They continued to encourage him as he questioned his sanity and wondered if he really wanted to crack them. Runa then suggested if he kept denying their feelings, she would get annoyed, while Haru declared he was on the way to being rejected by all four baddies. The two of them got fed up and walked away. At school, they both volunteered to clean the gym storage room. While inside, his heart started beating harder and harder, wondering if he should crack her right then and there. Shio kept thinking about their kiss and wondered why he was acting like nothing happened. Suddenly, Shio outright asked about the other day, and just as Au was about to respond, a box fell over and Au jumped on her to protect her, but they jumped off of each other like nothing happened. They spent the rest of the day enjoying each other's company, while Akari and Haru watched, wondering if they were clapping in secret. Haru came flying in on her bike and hit a jump over Au, showing him the sacred panties. She accused him of sitting alone and overthinking his Rizz game, then rode by and dragged him away. Meanwhile, Akari waited after school and confronted Shio about Au. She accused her and Au of acting weird and hiding something. Shio apologized, then ran away in tears, but Akari grabbed her hand. Shio turned around and said she didn't mean to, but Akari cut her off and asked if it was about Ayu's kiss with Haru. But Shio was unaware and thought she wasn't talking about hers. Akari asked why she and him were acting so weird about it. Then Shio stuttered. She then came to a realization that she must have gotten aggressive after Haru's kiss and Au rejected her. As Shio was about to say she was surprised she wasn't mad about their kiss, Akari stopped her and announced she would always support her, with the thought of Shio getting rejected in her head. Haru took the unathletic loser to the batting cage to let off some steam. She accused him of acting weird because Shio rejected him. He started whining like a little bitch. Then Haru stated the obvious again. If he kept acting like a wuss, he would end up rejected by everyone and a lonely bum. While he kept fooling around, Haru then yelled out to stop playing around, otherwise they would all grow apart from each other. Suddenly, all his memories with them came flooding in as he thought about the 4 potential baddies he could have pulled. He then got up and declared he wanted to crack all 4 of them really bad, then swung a home run. Shio opened up about being afraid that their friendship would never be the same anymore, then Akari slapped her and told her to snap out of it. They had made up many times before and this was no different than insisted their bonds could never be broken. Suddenly, Shio got up and announced just because they kissed one time doesn't mean he didn't want to crack, he was just scared. Akari realized what she said, then paused as Shio walked out the door and thanked her, then declared she was going to talk to him. After Au finished pretending to crack Haru, he got a call from Shio. During their talk, Au suddenly heard a crash and the call dropped. Haru tossed him her helmet and he rode off, hoping to save Shio and finally crack her. He searched all over school and even asked the baddie nurse if she had seen anyone. AU searched at the park but found nothing. He checked his phone and started panicking. He rode home as fast as possible. When he got back, he rang her doorbell like a maniac but got no answer. Suddenly, Shio called out from his bedroom. AU asked about her phone and she said she dropped it down the stairs. Shio climbed out onto the rooftop in her socks and said she had to tell him something, but she slipped and fell. He dove in to save her, but the sly guy caught her with his lips. Shio then said, now that they kissed, they wanted things to stay the same and friend zoned him. The next day, Akari worried that she was the only one that hadn't kissed AU yet. While Shio ran her race, the boys all admired her for her real estate assets on the Twin Peaks. The large assets caused her to win the race. Shio went up to AU for praise, and when he turned around, he was like a dead man inside, completely soulless. He was going mad like a deranged lunatic, causing Shio to freak out. Runa brought snacks for Shio. Akari swore she would sneak a kiss, and Haru demanded to know if she cheated in the last race. Shio told them none of that mattered, then pointed at AU and said he's some type of soulless bum. All four of them were utterly disgusted. The maniac came over and asked what they were doing. AU asked Runa to use her camera to take a photo of them. After the photo shoot, Akari demanded to know what his diabolical scheme was to crack them and yelled out that his face was making her skin crawl. AU then rizzed her and said she looked beautiful as fuck when she was angry. He leaned in and helped her with her crooked headband, causing the heavenly floodgates to pour out. Haru pulled him over and slapped him up until he looked like a piece of poop. Then they all thought he was even more disgusting except Runa. She walked up and embraced him. The rest of the girls joined in on the fun. Akari noticed Shio made up with him but couldn't help but notice the goofy look on his face. He suddenly got up and declared they were acting funny and said if they were in a rom-com situation, it would be weird. Then proceeded to ask if they thought so as well. If you made it this far, comment who you think would crack AU first and watch this video next.